Hi there everyone, Jay here from Jade Productions, back with another video, and today we are looking at all the reveals from the Warhammer Lords of the Mortal Realms online preview, where they looked at Age of Sigmar, where we looked at Underworlds, and we looked at Warhammer Quest, and there were quite a number of reveals. Many of you have probably seen them right now. I just wanted to take a moment, because I've been trying to gather my thoughts and opinions on this, and I'm going to try and avoid being as salty as possible. And if that results in me sounding like I'm a little restrained and bored, well, that's because that's me desperately trying to hold back some rage. So, the first thing we got is a whole bunch of new looks at all those Lumineth models. I did a previous video speculating what a lot of them would be. Of course, some things were always very obvious, like these sword-wielding guys, very reminiscent of Hoeth, the Sword Masters of Hoeth, so that's very exciting to see them. They're available. I have a feeling that I'm definitely going to get into Lumineth now. These are a killer unit that's super good. Of course, good to know was vindicated on this. This is a Venari Star Shard Ballista, so guess that right. Because it's an odd-shaped ballista, but it was very much, it looked like the ballista. This is not something that we saw part of it, nor this. They were very cleverly hiding it very much in the shadows there. And we have these things here around it. There's this terrain piece, and while this terrain piece is very pretty in some aspects, I'm actually not a fan of it. So the first thing I dislike about it is its verticality. This is going to be a pain in the ass to transport, and this is an army that's already a pain in the ass to transport. And, the water effects. I'm actually not a fan of how it drips down here. I very much am, quite think it looks kind of Lego-ish. I'm not a fan, and I don't think, it's hard to tell from this angle, but I don't think that's supportive enough, and these don't, I think this is just gonna fucking break constantly. Like, it looks very pretty, I like it, but I'm, a little skeptical about it. I'm a little concerned. So here we have the alternate build for, the Lord that they showed us. This is a named character Lord. Pretty exciting on that. Don't know which one I would personally want to build. Don't know anything about them yet. But they look pretty cool. We have this one. This was the interesting one that we had a little trouble predicting, and it turns out it was some named characters with some very wild-ass headgear. I'm not really a fan of this pose on him. In fact, I'm not a fan of this model in general. I think it's actually quite bad. Again, it's gonna break like crazy. How is she on there? Like, this thing is gonna be all kinds of non-wobbly. You have the owl sticking off here. Like, cool, dynamic, really impractical for this game. Really, really impractical. Then you have other things like the Lore Masters, things that should have been included in you know, the first line of releases. This guy, I'm not sure exactly what this one is called. Then we have this one, the Wind Mage. This is very cool. Kind of reminds me of Goku. I can see there that there's a flying stem. I wonder if Games Workshop have figured out how to make decent flying stems, because it doesn't look like it yet. I wonder how that connects in there, because anyone who's worked with Games Workshop flying stems know that they're absolute garbage. So I'm concerned about all these models just breaking constantly. This is going to be a more painful army to use and transport than anything. Also, it's an oval base. That's a really interesting thing. I wonder if it has any sort of aura abilities, or if we can try and manipulate that. Other than that, I really like this. Really. I do like all these models and how they look. But again, they're just so over-exaggerated and so very flimsy in their looks, and I'm quite honestly concerned about many of them. Like, this banner is so oversized. Like, completely. And this, like, don't even get me started on this. How the hell are you going to transport that? These models look fantastic. They're absolutely phenomenal. I'm excited. I see a lot of different rules potential. You're looking at a more ranged focus, sort of spirit. Looks like the release this time is focused on more Venari stuff and more wind stuff. Haven't spotted anything that looks like a wind sort of attribute unit. But then, of course, we know that we're getting the Techless book, But then they're getting the Lumineth Realm Lords Codex 2.0, and I am not happy about this whatsoever. I am not happy about this simply because it's dumb. Why didn't you future-proof your book? You would have had these models in development while that book was being written, while that book was being ready to publish. Why would you not future-proof it for models you know are coming? Why would you do this? This is a really, really dumb release model. You've gotten a book in a brand new army, which has contained half the army with admittedly very powerful but poor range selection. They're really cool looking, but they're shallow, and their only real strength comes from the fact that people are, because they have no unit options, are cheesing the most cheesable thing amongst their options, and techless. Techless, archers, techless, archers, archers, techless. Done. Like, you don't need any much more thought to that. And this army is completely, like, in its current state, not well thought out. But there's things within it. Like, you can see, like, things like the Gleaming Blade. And the fact that you're releasing a new book, and it says here it has updated, allegiance abilities and the like. Plunges out in the battle alone, get war scrolls to new units, yes, new allegiance abilities for the followers of Teclis, packed with lore and war scrolls. So, sure, thank you for putting all the war scrolls in one book, you goddamn nuggets. But the thing about it is, come on, my guys, like, seriously, what the... okay. Games Workshop release models are garbage. I'm just gonna leave it alone. We're getting a new battle tome for them, not, you know, several months after they've had their one, like they were, you know, they're only the second newest battle tome to have been released, the newest one having been the Sons of Behemoth. And, you know, we're getting this, and I'm sure they're going to include more allegiance abilities, probably to future-proof for the win stuff. I don't know why a lot of these things in there. Did they not plan ahead? Did they not think ahead? Did they not communicate with the departments about what was being made and what the plan is for this faction? Did someone work on this in complete... Did the 40k team work on this, for frack's sake? But it's... Sure, whatever. It saves you having to buy 2 books, unless you already bought the first one. Anyway. Then, on to some other cooler things. We got, this for the Nighthaunt. I think this is a nice indicator. If we could get a Nighthaunt update, sometime soon. Because we also have Guard of Steel Soul, and... to be honest, these come from 2 factions that have not aged well. Both the Nighthaunt really need some rules help, since they were released right at the beginning of the 2nd edition. And we don't need a 3rd edition in Age of Sigmar, we just need updated battle tomes. And that's what I like about what the current, what they're currently doing. But this is a faction that needs, help, and I'm excited. I'm hoping that this Krulgas Crusader is hopefully a sign of things to come, that they're going to get a new book, hopefully alongside this new hero, to give them some much needed updating, give them a bit more force going forward, because they're a pretty mediocre faction as it is. They're playable. They're more than playable. They just don't stand up as well as they used to. Like, they're more playable than, you know, than, you know, these guys. But at the same time, they were made at a time where things have escalated since then, and it looks like they weren't quite sure of the power balance they have. And while many, you know, the great thing about, you know, the game for Age of Sigmar is that a lot of battle tomes are able to compete, and, you know, you take a battle tome like Daughters of Cain, and you quote-unquote nerf it into the ground. I swear if I hear that one more time, I'm going to punch someone. Because they haven't been nerfed whatsoever, they've just been rebalanced. And you take them and you redo a book for them, with you just to rebalance them for the current meta. And lo and behold, that faction is still powerful. That's a case of, sure, you're just translating the faction into the new edition better, with updated rules. These guys, they probably require a kind of rebuild in the same way as Seraphon got. you know, they need some updated war scrolls and the like. This, I'm not even going to talk about this, but, so this was really cool. I like the idea that, they are leaning into updating some of the death models. Death models are really, some of them are really outdated, particularly some for the Legions of Nagash. So we have this, so the White King on mount. So the White King, he's accompanying him are numberless hordes of death rattle. So, that to me indicates that we're going to get new skeleton kits sooner or later. Necromancers are working hard to prepare it for later. So there is that. Now, there was a previous statement in here when they first put it up that these were actually part of the Soul Blight, and that's an interesting thing, and that made me quite worried that the Soul Blight weren't going to get their own thing. I was a little annoyed that we got this, and that, not any information on the Soul Blight Gravelords, which we know are out and about, and potentially coming. We just keep getting cucked, so, I'm not happy about that. For Underworlds, we got a look at some very cool models, for Savage Orcs. I'm a huge fan of these. I hope the Savage Orc gets a new line eventually. They're very monopose, very Warhammer Fantasy. Underworlds with boring stuff. This was the real show winner, I think, for the preview. And this Cursed City just looks phenomenal, and it's got some amazing things. You have this is not a Stormcast, I don't believe. Rereading it, and listening to what they were saying, I do not believe that this is a Stormcast. I think this is just a Mortal Heroes, which is really cool. So we got really, really flavorful characters. This guy here, absolutely love it. More Kurnothi, and yet still no real information on the Kurnothi. I would really rather they didn't just circle jerk us around with things like this, but they do what they do. I still love it. I love the revitalization of the Wood Elves. I was never a real fan of the old Wood Elves, but that's pretty cool nonetheless. This guy with his fancy mustache, I'm absolutely loving it. Really gives an idea of what these things look like. We've got a Death Mage here. That's an excellent model. I see a lot of these models here being proxied for things inside Cities of Sigmar armies. I see this as a good proxy for a Free Guild General. You can do some stuff with that for the, actually, no, that might have been deleted. This might be a really good, see, the problem is this, isn't actually a really good proxy for anything in, the army, so you'd have to get really inventive and justify something. I mean, my first thought is to use it as an admiral, primarily. Yeah, but there's some proxies things you can do. This is a great proxy for a Death Mage. This is a great proxy for another Mage. This one, like, is super, like, all the headgear. These are phenomenal models. I think this guy would make a good proxy for, an Ogre, Tyrant. So that's pretty fantastic. And then, lo and behold, you have all of these different models, which are purely updated models of just so many fantastic old Death Vampire Count, units. Here with the Bat Swarms and the Fell Bat, I love it. I would pick up this box just to try and make an army out of proxying models from this kit. Rat Swarms, really tempted to get those for like some Skaven, but they're a bit undeadish for my Skaven. But they're absolutely great. These are Undead Ogres, which are just phenomenal. They've got that very Eastern Russian Kislev feel. Phenomenal looking models. I think this might be an indication of what we can expect for the skeletons coming in the future. Sculpts like this are just, I think the way that Games Workshop is leaning, and I think it gives us a great hint. These zombies are pretty fantastic as well. I really like this one here is just absolutely great, and so is this one. Though this one here beneath the post is just phenomenal. I do really like these. There's just some great variety in these models, and you get quite a lot in this box. The main villain of it all is quite the disappointing one, but yeah, at the same time, still pretty cool. This guy, very, very cool. I could think of different ideas you could use for him as well, but overall, and in fact, they're not even. It's not here. here they are. So there's this, very good proxy, I would say, for a Vargol, for Flesh Eater Quartz, but we know what it's meant to be. It's meant to be the vampires have an equivalent unit that is built out of the same box. They're both pretty similar. I forget what its name is at the current moment. Geez, what is it? Okay, what is it? Warhammer. We want Death. We want, Legions of Nagash. Scrolling down, Vargeist. Vargeist, that's what it is. So we've got Vargeist. So it's meant to be a Vargeist. But, you know, they're built out of the same kit as Vargolfs. So this one makes an excellent proxy for both of those, which I kind of love. It's very fantastic. This is a phenomenal model, but I have no idea what I would use it for. But overall, I love this thing. And then you have some amazing vampires, which are very bestial in nature. They look very almost flesh eater in nature. Which, for those of you who know, flesh eaters are descended from vampires, and I would have zero compulsion about using these in a flesh eater quartz army. But you know, there is the expectation that to keep them distinct and similar, because there's many different vampire bloodlines, and these are one of the ones. This is a more bestial one that I really love, and I think they're really cool as they descend into that, because they're at that stage where they keep feeding, and in the lore, if they keep feeding long enough, they will actually no, it's quite the reverse. If they don't feed, they transform into this. So there's that. This is a fantastic box. I'm so gonna buy it. I'm super interested to see what the war scrolls for these things are like, since that's an interesting thing for me. I mean, I'm gonna pick this up definitely. Not even if just because I love the Warhammer Quest. Super fan of the last one. And then of course we got a good old fantastic little bit of video here showing us a good bit of a new Be'lakor model, which was something I was not expecting, but he's a really old model. He really needed updating, and of course the internet dies in the middle of the video, so there is that. So you know, there's the new Be'lakor. Looks pretty fantastic. Overall, my thoughts on it all are, I love all the models, but I feel a little bit pissed about how they've gone about, particularly some of them. I feel like, just give me my goddamn vampires already. Don't blue ball me. This, I both absolutely love it, because I want to now build a Lumineth Realmlord's army now that they have some decent variety. These models are phenomenal, but they're such a pain in the ass, I think, in terms of transport. I do not look forward to doing these. Like, they're awesome, but I can see the frustration immediately. And they're both simultaneously great and awful at the same time, from a both visual and practical standpoint. That yeah, the only thing that pisses me off is the way they're releasing it in that release model. So I'm not going to talk about that any longer. So I'll leave it at that. So thank you all for watching. This is, I tried to keep this real quick, but I think I blathered on a bit too long. So I will talk to you all next time. I have been Jay from Jade Productions, desperately holding back a fair amount of salt and quietly swearing in between several sentences where I paused. Okay, see you next time.